Good.
I got the
Good.
most confusing day of weather yesterday.
Oh
Sweat,
no.
sweat through my clothes twice, then a torrential downpour, and then it was
Oh, God.
cold.
Oh God. Wow. I forgot what part of the country are you in? Where are you?
Right smack in the middle, Nagano.
Okay.
So,
Uh,
yeah, we usually get a typhoon. I don't know. I guess it was a typhoon yesterday. I don't even know, but we just get a bunch of rain dumped on us, basically. So,
oh
it's not like
man.
this sort of thing Florida's getting. Although a couple of years ago, it destroyed about 5 miles of the train tracks. I had to walk. I usually walk that anyway, but I had to walk that every day, both ways, for a
Whoa.
month. And a few bridges were out for like one of them was out for like 2 years. So
Whoa. Wow.
well, just
Damn,
what
dude.
like I took a look last week because there's a hot spring there which I used to walk to, and once the bridge was gone, I couldn't really do that. So
Hmm.
but where it had been, like it wasn't just like the bridge had collapsed, but like the entire spit of land on the other side was gone. It was crazy.
Jeez. Wow,
the,
man.
the biggest bummer was it was like this nice like red, like not suspended, but the upper part's red, looks very picturesque, and now it's just this industrial disaster bridge they've replaced it
Oh
with. So
God. Wow. Yikes.
when did you
Yikes.
get back
Yikes.
from cruising?
About a week ago, and I want to go back. I'm ready to go back. It's kind of sucks to be back in real life because I tell you, I'm really good at just sort of rewiring my brain to get used to the idea of like, well, this is my day. I'm going to sleep late and just walk over to the buffet and grab a cup of coffee and sit on the back and just watch, the wake go past us. And, like I get used to that really fast.
I guess
So,
I guess my experience is kind of opposite. I did this summer working at the whale camp where you take kids on a schooner or like a lobster boat twice a
oh,
week to
cool.
look for
Okay.
whales.
Yeah.
So on mine,
Yeah.
where I remember just it being crazy choppy, and most kids and teachers are like hurling off the side, and about three kids with iron stomachs are at the bow like as
Oh
the
my
waves crash.
God.
The food
Wow.
the food is the hippie chick, underneath cooking like stew. So
Yeah, this is a very different experience from that. Yeah,
yeah. But
for
I get
sure.
we before COVID we'd have company trips, and yeah, we had a few of those Okinawa ones. So that was certainly a good time to wake up and have nothing to do. I mean, have everything to do, but nothing to do, which is
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
fantastic.
Oh,
Before you get rolling too much, I think you
yeah.
mentioned to me I've been hardcoring podcast The Ride. Are you? I think.
Yes, I
Yeah,
love
yeah, yeah,
that
yeah.
show. Yeah.
I just started
Mhm.
like shoving those in my ear holes.
Yeah.
And
Some Oh, go ahead.
I didn't even know. Yeah, like the Hard Rock Park. I didn't know about that. That's crazy. And I was
Yes,
in Atlanta when
yes.
that happened, so it like wasn't that far away.
Oh my God. Yeah, sometimes like they're really funny. I like them a lot. Sometimes like I feel like I don't want you to just like keep doing joke after joke for 3 hours. Like, let's kind of really narrow down the topic here and just give me your best 90 minutes, you know? Um, but they're really funny. They're really good. Um, I was looking for there's another Parks podcast. Let's see. I just downloaded their episode. Mike joins the Disney Dads. That's a podcast, the Riot episode I haven't listened to yet. It's in my queue. But I was listening to another little more serious one, the 3028, and I can't remember why they call it that, but it's a like a parks history, but also like a design and like they really get off on signage in the park. Like they will talk about graphics and design for a long, long time. It's really good, and they've been doing a series about kind of the development of Epcot, why it was made, how it was originally conceived, and a lot of that stuff, you know, but a lot of the stuff they've kind of put into a fresh context. So yeah, I recommend them. The 3028. Sorry, yeah, the 3028 is the name of their show.
All right, yeah, I'll check that out. I
Yeah.
think the one I listened to last is something that I didn't know about. I guess because it didn't really take off until maybe about 2010, which are these and would probably entertain you since you're into like
Mhm.
hospitality and things like that. But the what's it the Great Wolf Lodges? Are you familiar with
Oh, yes.
that?
Yes, absolutely.
I didn't even
Yeah.
know that that existed because I guess they didn't really take off probably until the past 10 years, or unless you're
Oh
in
man.
Wisconsin or something.
Yeah, exactly. See, when I was in Chicago, I remember seeing ads for those all the time. Yeah,
But they have a
definitely.
guest on who went to a few with their family. I mean, you wouldn't go without your family, you know. Talk about how it's like, everything is like keyed towards kids, but it's like aggressively like designed so adults cannot have a good time. Like
Right.
there's no
Right.
amenities that would appeal to an adult, that
Right,
sort of thing.
right.
So
Oh
uh
my god.
depression 11 a.m. lines of people at the one bar in the water park, trying to get their watered down margaritas, that sort of thing.
Right, right. Yep, yep.
Kids drown in the wave pool. So I like that sort of thing.
Hey, it depends on the kind of vacation you want to have. Yeah.
Okay,
All
let
right,
me
man.
get
Mhm.
my notes up. I suppose we'll jump into
Yeah,
the sucker.
sure.
Yeah, I got the prologue ready. So okay, let's roll it.
All righty.
Hello, welcome to Time Enough Podcast. It's where we talk about episodes of The Twilight Zone and beyond. This is Matt here. Coming back to chat up some of the zone is from the Mission Log podcast, where he talks about every episode of Trek in order, not broadcast order, but series order. It's John Champion. Hello.
Hey, good to see you. And by the way, just a disclaimer right at the top, I will not be doing a William Shatner impression for this episode. Yeah, yeah.
You can.
Sorry to disappoint.
How
I have to
about
leave
John
that to
Hoyt?
Norman.
How about John Hoyt? You can
Maybe.
do a John Hoyt impression.
I could try. I could try.
I don't know. I guess not. You could probably pull. People wouldn't have enough to measure it against. He's not quite as
Yeah,
much in the public consciousness.
not anymore. No, no.
Um, but yeah, today's episode is the lateness of the hour. I'm pretty sure this is a first viewing for me. This is one of the notorious videotape episodes, of course, and I feel like they don't show those in syndication as much. I could be wrong, but
Yeah, it's been a long time since I've watched. I mean, like every now and then I'll tune in for the Twilight Zone marathon that you get every year on Sci-Fi Channel, but I feel like I'm catching a lot of the same episodes there, and they aren't the videotaped episodes. Um, so I couldn't remember how many they had done or when that started. So honestly, I was a little surprised because my memory of the episode was not about its technical achievements or failings, so I was a little surprised, and then read later that this was the first of only six, and I thought it was way more than that. But I gotta say, like, for as much a stylistic shift as that is, I think they made the most out of the technology at the time, you know like, I was shocked at how many cuts and how many creative camera angles they used, given that they're on these, in 1961 that this one came out, 61,
60,
62,
still
60.
60. Or it's
So it was still
December
60.
date, so we're almost out of it. But
Okay. And you're talking these giant video cameras on a soundstage at the time. I think they did the best they could. I can't think of much else that was shot on video at the time that is as creative and artistic as they got out of this.
I'm having a look. I feel like, watching these sequentially as I am, I'm kind of like they
Mhm.
chose the wrong episodes to videotape. Um,
Mm, mm.
so a few just before I was like, Eye of the Beholder, that would have made a lot of sense on videotape, kind of like, your
Ooh,
closed caption footage. Nervous
yeah,
nervous man in a $4 room having that real stagey feel. I'm like,
yeah,
that could have worked. This one, I mean, it's interesting. It's a good episode, but yeah, I'm like, this it doesn't benefit from that, and there's a
yeah.
few recent ones that would have actually benefited from that.
Sure, sure. Yeah, that makes sense.
But
Yeah,
I guess I'll just do a bit of trivia. The videotape, I actually it was like so obvious I left it out of my trivia. So I guess it's good we had chatted it up a bit just there. But
yeah,
it's
yeah,
yeah, this is the first one. We've already gone on a bit of a rant because I've already recorded Night of the Meek because I wanted to have Christmas as out of time as possible. I guess I don't know,
yeah.
but yeah, that was kind of a conundrum with this podcast. I'm like, okay, a week before Halloween's going to be the Christmas episode, but I got to do these in
Sure.
order. But maybe people can like just sit on it for a month or two.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
um, so the trivia on this one is that the air date was December 2nd, 1960. So we were about to hit 1961, and
Okay.
the teleplay is a Rod Serling original. We've chatted a bit about director Jack Smite before, as he'll direct 4 Twilight Zone episodes in total. But I've just got to shout out a Ben that he was on some kind of cold fire in the 70s with his run of Midway, Airport 1975, and Damnation Alley, which has one of the best movie
Yes.
posters ever.
Awesome. Awesome. Very
we've
cool.
we've already seen Inger Stevens before in the season 1 episode The Hitchhiker. Her career was lively during the 60s with titles such as Hang 'em High before a unfortunate 1970 fate with one of our Hollywood Babylon situations.
Mm.
Which
Mm.
it's weird. Season 1 had a lot of like people like this, and
Yeah.
two not so much. It's weird. So I don't know.
Wow. Wow.
We
Yeah.
might hit a few more. Season 2 we're only about 25% in. So
Yeah.
not that I'm looking for people's horrible fates, but it's interesting.
Right. Right. Right.
John Hoyt was our patriarch, and he has that sort of that guy look. Turns out I know his face as the reprehensible millionaire in When Worlds Collide, and he had some
Mm-hmm.
epic appearances in Spartacus and Cleopatra. I can't remember who he
Wow.
was in Spartacus, though.
Yeah, that doesn't ring a bell for me, but he is definitely a that guy. Yeah,
Oh yeah,
he's and the dude's got presence to
and
him.
I've never
Yeah.
made it through Cleopatra, so
Yeah.
I read a book about it, the making of it, but
Fair. All
I
right.
don't actually want to watch
That's
the
good.
movie.
Yeah.
The lady with the near orgasmic vocalizations,
Oh
Miss Lauren,
dear.
if you're nasty, was played by
Man.
Irene Tedrow. She did some
Ooh.
radio, she did some stage, but if this episode's not her legacy, it's probably her role as a regular on the Dennis the Menace sitcom.
Oh, okay, okay. I wonder if at any point Jack Smite, as a director, just said, "Hey, could you just tone it down a little bit with the massage sounds because it's a bit intense."
We have some censors. Okay, if I could ask you to give us whatever reading you wish of the prologue.
All right, here we go. The residence of Dr. William Lauren, which is in reality a menagerie for machines. We're about to discover that sometimes the product of man's talent and genius can walk amongst us untouched by the normal ravages of time. These are Dr. Lauren's robots, built to functional as well as artistic perfection. But in a moment, Dr. William Lauren, wife and daughter, will discover that perfection is relative, that even robots have to be paid for, and very shortly will be shown exactly what is the bill.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Now, some things I don't think I just recognize the living room. I'm starting to just like
Mhm.
figure out where I've seen sets before.
Yeah.
I like I
There's
saw
a
the
lot of
Willoughby.
reuse. Yeah, there's a lot of reuse on
Yeah,
Twilight Zone.
that
Yeah.
Willoughby living room showed up I think like 2 more times since. I did notice that the external mansion shot was in the Howling Man a few weeks ago, so I thought that was funny. Just
Oh
maybe
yeah, 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 yeah.
uh,
Okay.
they got Satan in the closet or something. um, but yeah, going in, let's see. Oh, just one note I have to throw out about the video quality. We'll shut up
Hmm.
about the video quality, but in the first couple minutes, when the maid is giving the massage, I really like just for a few seconds thought like SCTV was about to break out. Like you were going to see the maid, and it's going to be like Andrea Martin, with the sneer
Yeah.
on her face.
So a Dr. Tong episode with the 3D effects coming at the screen. Yeah, it is so weird how not only videotape cheapens the look of something, but if you have a TV that has the overscan turned on, and it can take something filmed and make it look like videotape, and therefore makes it look cheap. It's so weird how just we perceive that.
But I guess that is something because like by 1980, videotape
Hmm.
was kind of the TV standard. So I
but
mean,
only for sitcoms and soap operas. Well, and like news, things that are meant to have that kind of live look. But our brains do a thing when we see something that is 24 frames a second. Our brains do a thing where we separate that from live, and I'm using big old finger quotes for people who aren't watching me. Um, and it becomes something that you can sort of be detached from, like art. um and my friend James did a whole I think his college dissertation was about exactly that. But there is something that is so specific when you break that barrier and go from 24 frames a second to 30 frames a second. It just completely changes your perception of the thing that you're watching. It's odd, but I think in this case they have the benefit of being black and white, and they also have the benefit of, again, just like the creative talents making the most of it.
yeah, because that would be the only flaw as far as the direction and
Mm-hmm.
stuff. Everything's like on point for
Oh
sure.
yeah,
And
yeah.
I'm thinking a few years ago when I saw it in a regular film rate, I think, but when The Hobbit drove everyone insane a few
Oh
years
my
ago with
God.
the
Yeah,
that was a 30, was it? No, no, my
yeah.
problem was I fell asleep, but but I'm
Don't
notorious.
blame you.
I
Yeah.
notorious have trouble getting through Lord of the Rings. So and it was after work. That I have so it was like
Okay.
10:30 at night as well. So
Oof.
there's a few riders on that, but yeah.
Yeah. I wouldn't be able to do it either. Yeah.
But no, I'm not your Tolkien guy. Haven't
Nope.
had a look at the new series or anything.
Yeah. Me either. I'm not into it. I won't say here what I said on Mission Log, that it's not my bag, because then immediately Mike Richards, also guest of yours and a host of Mission Log the Orville, did a very long form joke about that, how Lord of the Rings is not my bag. But that's for Patreon only.
I do have the receipt though, because I have the setup here.
Yeah, yeah.
Someday
There
I
you
plan to
go.
watch it.
There you
That's
go.
the first three, not the Hobbit ones.
Okay.
I don't think we'll be revisiting that.
Yeah, yeah.
um, at the beginning, we've already talked about the horrible massage noises, but I wrote
Oh
down
my
that
God.
Animal Grunts of Pleasure would be like a solid Motley Crue album, probably.
Yeah, yeah. That's about the only other appropriate context for that. It's so weird, and again, you have to wonder, like, they are playing to the limits that they know of TV as it is broadcast in 1960. It's like, how do we telegraph to the audience what's going on? But look, I've had a massage or two in my life, and I've never made those types of noises. I'm sorry, you know.
You didn't have a humanoid robot giving it to you.
Okay, that's very true. That's very true. Maybe
I
one
see.
day when I do.
But we share in it Jaina's displeasure. I didn't write her name in the notes because I heard Jaina. I was like, how do you spell that? And now I'm looking at Wiki. I got it. So
Yeah,
um,
JNA. Yeah, yeah,
JNAA. Yeah.
mhm,
So
yeah,
anyway, you definitely get her displeasure, and I have the impression she just stands there all day. They all like that's the thing. That's their afternoon.
yeah. I guess so. Like, she must be the most relaxed mom in the entire world. Just to hang out in that room and get massaged all day, and Jaina just walk around looking at picture albums. It's very weird. Yeah.
I mean, this is 1960, and
Mhm.
the dad obviously has something in robotics, so maybe they could get like tennis for two or something for her to play.
Could be. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Then the
Yeah.
oscilloscope. Which one's
Right.
the yeah?
I think Rock'em Sock'em had not yet been invented. I think that was late 60s.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. You had that,
yeah.
and what was yeah? There was some tic tac toe at the time, I think. So
Yeah.
you could have
Yeah.
two video games on different consoles. I still maybe we were this might be I don't know temporally where the episode is. Might be a different podcast, but we were talking about the computer in the 70s, the Altair. What did the Altair actually do? All we could figure out is blinking lights.
Pretty much. Yeah. Yeah, it's incredible to me that a computer like the Altair would spark a computer revolution, because I mean a lot of people bought it, a lot of hobbyists played with it, But then how could they extrapolate from that? Like, oh yeah, this is the thing that will help me one day, write a term paper and balance my checkbook and order groceries online. Like, it's very hard to make that connection in my head.
So yeah, oh, that was actually my oral hygiene when we were talking about computers, and oh, it aired
Mhm.
2 days ago. What do you know? Okay, so someone's
Ah,
hearing me
cool.
say the same thing twice again, but
Mhm.
but I was gonna segue to this episode having this weirdly futurist, having these weirdly like modern futuristic sci-fi concepts and doing them in a very analog way where they don't even have the vocabulary to properly talk about this stuff.
Well, I think that's one of the most charming, interesting things about this episode in particular, but a lot of science fiction from this period when it's done well, because there's a lot of science fiction from this time that is kind of very clunky and it feels hokey. And if you see a robot in a movie, I'm sorry, robot in a movie a few years before, it looks like a guy in an aluminum trash can and light bulbs for eyes. But to have the creativity of Rod Serling and the other people who worked on a show like this and said, like, no, no, no. What if the robot is totally passable as a human being? And they don't talk in like weird I am a robot. Like they don't do the stilted voice. There's no telltale sign, like their eyes don't glow or anything like that. And even the little device that Dr. Lauren has is very sophisticated and something that is believable even to an audience today. Like, yeah, we're looking at it through the lens of this is 60 years ago, but you can still get an idea and you go like, yeah, this is a logical extrapolation of where the technology could go. And I think that's one of the biggest strengths of an episode like this.
I'm thinking about Asimov because I know he gets into some of that in Foundation with the humanoid
Mm,
robots, but I think that wasn't till he started writing them again in the 80s
wow.
when he really doubled.
Wow.
Like, I don't think the original Foundations really get into that, but the
Yeah.
book, the novels from the 80s do. But then this is 1960 still, so
Yeah.
it's pretty wild. Another fun, like they didn't quite know how to do it. But I think it might have been influential. Was we recently watched Battle Beyond the Sun, which is a 1960s Maz film, and it has the
Cool.
spinning space station. They're like acknowledging
Mhm.
gravity in 1960 before much had gone up there. You see like a Sputnik in there, but then
Yeah.
once you're on the station, just it turns into like 50s ridiculousness gravity. So it's like they were
Yeah.
they were
See. Yeah.
so close, they were so close, but then they gummed it
Yeah.
up. I
Uh,
don't think this one gummed it up. They just didn't know. Again, they didn't have the vocabulary to talk about
right.
what they were
Right.
actually doing. Um,
Exactly. Yeah.
um, Another one I kind of noticed is the argument near the beginning with the insulation is no crime; it's a service. With the
Yeah.
retort that no stimulation makes us a vegetable, and I was like, I think a lot of people have some like real time practice in that from a few years ago.
Yeah,
Um,
that's true.
so
That's true.
that one really stood out to me. Me not actually having done much of that. So, well,
Mm.
I think I told you, I finally got my COVID holiday in my room a month and a half or 2 months ago for
Oh, hey. All right. Congratulations. Yeah. Yeah.
12 hours of sickness and 2 weeks of watching Wayne's
Ooh,
World multiple times.
nice. Good choice.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, that was another one that I just thought, wow, that's really like kind of ahead thinking in a way that
Yeah.
our technology is going to keep us, at home on our screen. Well, they don't have screens. That's kind of oh god, I want to say she Mana, but that's not her name. I can't. Jaina's
Jana?
problem. Yeah.
Jana?
Sorry,
Yeah.
I have like 8 students named Mana, so I keeps flipping through my brain. But
But
yeah,
that yeah, like that's one of the things that you miss is that obviously well it's meant to take place in 19 I guess like a parallel 1960. It is contemporary. It's not really futuristic. Like they're not saying that this takes place in the year 2000, right?
right,
As
right.
far as I
Yeah, I
remember. Yeah.
felt it was contemporary for sure.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, so you don't have screens around the room. I think partly that is to throw you off, like so the reveal about what Dr. Lauren's strengths are as an inventor, it kind of builds over time. But I also I don't find it too hard to accept that a very well-to-do family at that time would probably at least have some rooms in their home reserved without the distraction of TVs, without without the things that maybe a more just kind of like younger suburban family might have. And in fact, like one of the interesting tells in here when they had the argument about going out to a restaurant, um, not only obviously is it to protect Jaina from being out in the world where maybe like what if her robotics fail when she's out on the world and she probably doesn't eat, so like these are all things that would be a tell if they took her out into the world. But it was also like a very kind of cultural thing. It's like no, we're the wealthy elite, we get to stay at home and have our servants bring us dinner. And this kind of goes back, like this is a very turn of the century thing. If you were wealthy, with the exception of some, you really didn't go out. Like going to a restaurant was seen as a lower class thing to do. And certainly, and at a certain time, like Victorian era and with the birth of restaurants in the 1850s, women for sure did not go into restaurants and certainly did not go unaccompanied by men. So to me, it was building this whole picture of this family that had very much decided to live in this kind of cloistered, but this very curated version of what their exposure to the outside world would be. The lack of screens told me that. The fear of restaurants told me that. And just this thing that they're kind of, the father is much older. Dr. Lauren comes across as probably like what, pushing 70, and Jaina could pass for like 20, 22, 25 maybe at the most. So he's still living in this much older world, even though his concept of technology is very advanced.
I paraphrased the restaurant quote just because I thought you'd take personal offense to it, which is a restaurant. We'd walk through the rain to eat greasy, unpalatable food off of dirty, unwashed plates.
I love that. I love that bit because, yeah, because that wouldn't necessarily be the attitude of the average person in 1960, but to somebody who grew up, if we think that Dr. Lauren is, pushing 70, to somebody who grew up in this very old world, that would be the attitude. Like that makes sense. That tracks. I totally disagree, of course. You give me a time machine back to 1916, and I'm taking the fastest taxi I can get to go to Le Pavillon in New York City.
Oh, I had the thought, so I had to check John Hoyt's age because yours he's pushing 70. I was like, on the Twilight Zone, he's probably just 55 or something.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And that was John Hoyt's age, 55.
He was 55. But see, isn't that weird that in 1960, a 55-year-old actor truly looks like he's pushing 70?
Yeah. Also, someone has been screaming at their phone or listening device for the past 15 minutes because I forgot to mention his appearance in Flesh Gordon from 1974.
Yes, bravo.
Yeah. I don't.
Oh, yeah. And Inger Stevens was 26 at the time, so but definitely could have passed for younger. But yeah, 26 sounds about right.
But no, he just as we do these episodes, like, oh yeah, guy must be 70. Up, he's 50.
Right, happens a lot. Yeah.
So welcome to the future. I guess we're aging better now.
Yeah, for so real.
There is some real plus there.
Somebody did a video that I watched on YouTube not long ago about that that was posing that question: did people age faster in times previous? And it's a little bit of yes and a little bit of no. It's very interesting. Like style has a long way to go for that, but yeah. Also some people just looked older.
I don't know why that always makes me think of the TV series, the Kennedy one. I don't know the date exactly, 1963. Anyway, the one with James Franco, where they make a point about when
Oh,
he goes back in time and
yeah.
noticing like the food is better.
Yes, yes. 11/22/63. That was
Yeah.
that show. And it was great. But yeah, that was the first thing that I really appreciated about that show. It's just like the food is amazing, you know. So yeah,
But
that's
yeah,
my dream.
it's like you and I don't actually know what a good banana tastes like, you know,
No, right.
because they're extinct.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
I have before I get back into deep thoughts, I have three really non-deep thoughts. One, maybe again it was the video, but there were like about two or three just fantastic soap opera stings in this episode. Bum
Yeah.
bum. That was
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah.
This one I feel a little bad for it, but every time I saw Nelda the maid, I
Hmm.
thought about the kids in the halls, Bruce McCulloch in drag. And
Okay,
that
you're not wrong. Yeah, yeah.
because I was like, every time I was like, I must be like thinking too much, and then they show her again. I'm like, that really looks like Bruce McCulloch. So sorry, actress that played Nelda, but it just
She's the one that gets thrown down the stairs, right? No, 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 no,
no,
no.
that's the other maid, the one that's
Yeah,
giving
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
massage is
You're talking about
Nelda.
the massage. Yeah, yeah.
No, when
Gotcha.
that maid goes down the stairs, that is just a fantastic face she has. Um,
That look, that is a great stunt to be done again like that on videotape. Not very forgiving at all, and then just that smile when she gets up. Oof! Wow.
that's
Yeah.
your creepy AI smile, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. That is
Um,
good stuff.
and oh, what do you want? A walking record player? Yes, I want a
Sure.
walking.
Who wouldn't want that?
I
Yeah.
know. I was just reading recently that Paul McCartney had one in his Mini. That or the other car. I don't remember. But when I was in high school, I had one of my classmates did try to do the car turntable.
Oh,
Um,
cool.
it didn't
Nice.
work at all because any bump is
Yeah.
screws the whole deal. But he was really stoned most of the time, so he didn't care. But yeah, I have tried to man the car record player, if not the walking one.
Yeah.
Well, 20 years later, 40 years later, you get the Muppets 80s robot. That's pretty cool. That's like a walking record player.
Mhm. Sure. Yeah.
You gotta
Yeah.
go to 2010 for 80s robot. That's so weird. Okay. uh, something I actually, having not seen this episode, I had two thoughts for the twist, and I
Mhm.
wonder if my other thoughts better. One, of course, was oh, she's probably a robot, or they're
Yeah.
all robots for all I know.
Yeah.
Robots, excuse me.
Yeah. Robot. Yeah. Yeah. I gotta say it right. By the way, so I remember pointing that out on Mission Log a long, long time ago because it's something that always stuck with me that robot is like the accepted 1950s way to say that word, and especially it's prominent in Twilight Zone. But I read somewhere, and somebody maybe can send us a link for it. I read somewhere that it was Anne Francis who said robot in like a press interview or something for Forbidden Planet, and literally like she got it wrong. Like everybody else up until that point had been saying robot, and that is the way to say it. And it's sort of like it's sort of like Patrick Stewart getting the script for Star Trek: The Next Generation and saying data instead of data. And from that point on, everybody says data. But apparently, like robot was just the accepted way to say that word
Oh,
until a Hollywood star says it differently, and everybody's like, "Oh yeah, of course, robot is how it's supposed to be said."
I'm sure someone can send us a GIF explaining that.
Or a GIF,
Yeah.
either way.
I think the inventor did say GIF was the correct. I mean, but hey, when does it
Oh,
get
the
out of your
inventor
hands?
said GIF. The
Oh, the
inventor said
inventor
GIF.
said GIF. Okay,
I stick with that. Yeah,
okay, yeah.
yeah.
I like that we can disagree about what the inventor said, but you could be right. I could have mixed it up and twirled it back and forth in my brain for sure. Um, for me, the rise of the robots is I'd probably draw the line about silent running. I feel like those are definitely robots and silent running.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Wait. Hey. By the way, nobody. You don't need to send it. I found it. It's on Daily Kos. It's an article from 2017 titled "You are pronouncing the word robot wrong." And it has the whole thing about Anne Francis and Twilight Zone and Forbidden Planet. So
Okay, the next one I look up will be
I'll share that with you.
Sabotage.
And yeah. Like yeah. Don't sabotage my robot.
Living in Japan for a while, I have sort of the luxury of playing with my accent a little bit. Like I don't want to go
Mm,
nuts with it, but I definitely found for the most part, like I've softened my vowels. Like I try to
mm.
avoid the sharp American vowels. So
Oh
I would
sure,
definitely
yeah.
go for the robot and the robot.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have some gnarly sounds in American English. So
Oh yeah. Oh yes.
so
Yeah.
I say I've just flattened my. I haven't changed my accent, but I flattened my vowels. So that's
Mm.
nice. Um, a little more seriously, I did get thinking about the special spark of life. The service robots don't seem to have it. I think we get that from the smile on the other maid's face, that there's nothing really there.
Yeah, which really raises the very interesting question about what is different about Jaina. Does Jaina either learn, like, did she evolve into her awareness, or was that something programmed? But there is something about her that is special, that is different, that the other robots do not have.
Which the big twist is they take it away basically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Now,
yeah.
I guess when he says I turned off all the robots, couldn't he turn them back on? Did he like burn them in the furnace in the basement or something?
I hope he didn't, because they may only be mechanical, but they had personalities. And particularly, the one seemed to be very upset about the idea that he had somehow displeased the master. You know,
Right, they go right down there, but I'm like, did he? I think he even says I'm going to turn them off. I
oof,
don't. But then the impression at the end is like they've been like somehow gotten rid of, which I thought was a little
yeah,
intense.
oof,
Um,
yeah, that's a bit much.
the other thing I was thinking, like I said, one idea was, oh, she's a robot, which was the twist, or maybe they
Hmm.
all are. The other one I got is it's always raining outside, and I started thinking like if they're like in a blast from the past style bunker, because like we can't go outside, and I started thinking maybe this
Oh,
is like some weird post-apocalyptic thing where they really can't go outside,
oh, interesting.
which
That,
that would have
yeah,
been perfectly fitting for a 1960s Twilight Zone episode. So
sure, yeah, that would totally fit. Yeah,
I guess you'd have to take out the exterior shot to make that truly authentic at the beginning. But
yeah,
take that
yeah.
out, you could totally rock that twist as well. So,
Hmm. Yeah,
um,
and we don't know what's beyond their property as well. I mean, it could be post-apocalyptic everywhere else.
yeah, but that was kind of my thought. Like, oh, they've constructed this bunker. There's only three of them, and so this inventor has, you know, created just some semblance of a normal life, which they're
Right,
keeping to a minute by minute schedule.
right, yeah.
As something else I recently talked on about a podcast is in the CIA interrogation manual. If I remember, he said it was page 76, which is Alice in Wonderland techniques for interrogation. Have you heard of this?
Ooh, no, I have
Th-
not.
this is basically just doing things that don't make sense for the person you're interrogating. So when they leave their room, you go and you switch the clocks. Um, you serve lunch at like 4 p.m. and then you
Uh-huh.
serve dinner at like 4:10. Then you don't serve another meal for like 8 hours.
Oh my
Um,
God.
if when they give you good information, you get really angry at them. When they're obviously lying, you praise them, things like that. And
Wow.
the idea is reality breaks down for this person. They're inside, they can't see the sun, so time has lost all meaning for them. Their interactions with people no longer make any sense.
So what you're saying is that's what Gul Madred should have done to Picard.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Probably was to a certain extent.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, we don't know. We didn't get shots of the Cardassian clocks much, but
Yeah.
or
Right.
or when they were serving the bizarre, living worm things. So,
Oof. Yeah. But we
but
do know that he wanted to mess with him with the lights. So we got that.
for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, yeah. I was just thinking like this would be the opposite, where in my post-apocalyptic scenario, they've got everything down to the minute to keep themselves sane. So
Right.
so
Yeah.
if they wait until
Yeah.
6:30 for dinner, that just throws everything off.
Yeah. Right.
I mean, for me that's kind of thrown off. My daughter started junior high this year, so I have Mondays off. So people are at work and
Okay.
school, and it's like 5:30 dinner, and then 6:30 we're gonna take a
Hmm.
walk, and then I take a bath and play guitar for a while. But now she gets home at 7, does kendo, right? She goes to bed later. She's got homework. I'm like, what am I supposed to be doing now?
I mean, look, we are pattern-seeking primates, and you see how easy it is when you're well. You're in your quarantine for a while, and when I was on vacation not that long ago, like you literally forget what day it is sometimes. I mean that's yeah, that's a very real thing. So sometimes this pattern needs to be a little hyper intense for other people. It's a little bit much for me, but I get the concept.
But if you really want to have some fun, you manically ask your friends what year it is.
I'll try that.
I got a friend, you ask him the time without a pause. He'll always answer, the time is now. Dude, I really didn't know what time it is.
That's great.
But hey, the time is now. So whatever. He's not wrong.
No, no.
um oh, here we go. Here's a note I wrote. When you were talking about the robots complaining, especially the butler, and
Hmm.
just another one of my prehistoric, not prehistoric, but analog.
Hmm.
I was kind of like this like bot rage on Twitter where they're all like arguing with him because he's created these things and now they're like giving him guff. So
Now they talk back.
yeah, that was the early one. What else did I got? I was thinking a little bit about AI, the movie
Mhm.
AI. I mean, I
Oh
was thinking
yeah.
about AI, the concept too, but the idea that Haley Joel Osment's character, I don't do he's got a name of some kind. I don't remember what it is, but how he's supposed to like entrain himself to mom, right? And the whole problem is when mom is no longer
Yeah.
interested,
Right.
and the Jaina doesn't. I couldn't really tell where she was. Like if she really did leave, if she'd be crushed or whatever.
Mm.
I was
Hmm.
even wondering if she could like it is the normal world. She could go somewhere, but maybe like like there's a power source, and if she leaves, she just didn't work anymore. That sort of
Well,
thing.
well, yeah. I mean that's the thing. Like for how long? If it's first of all, it was raining outside. If she or any of the robots set foot outside, do they short circuit? If they go to a restaurant and she tries to drink a glass of wine, does that immediately stop all the gears from turning inside? So and how do you recharge at night? So these might all be things that are built in that are very easy to cover at home, but as soon as you get outside of those confines, you're yeah, you've created a whole world of problems for your robots. I think also by mentioning AI, the thing that we're really missing in this episode is the Jude Law pleasure bot. Um,
that's
so
that's in the basement. No, that's not.
okay,
That's in the attic. Excuse me.
okay, yeah, and
Basement's where
Mrs.
they don't want to
Lauren,
go.
yeah, Mrs. Lauren knows where that is. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Because yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But they talk about, oh, you're gaining a rebellious spirit on us now,
Uh-huh.
whereas in AI he basically goes mad because he's so obsessed with mom. So it's kind of the opposite reaction, where
Mm,
Jaina's becoming less and less entrained with her parents, where
yeah.
in AI he becomes absolutely obsessed with
Yeah.
his mom.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't know that if that leads anywhere, but that was certainly a thought I had. The other one, I do wonder if this is the first. I guess it is the first Jaina. They give the impression that this is the only one they've made, and they change her function at the end, basically.
I got that impression too, just because of the the photo books and everything, that she was a one-off and not that old, because she was talking about there are no baby pictures, there are no yeah, no childhood, nothing of her growing up, so she would have only looked like this for so long. um Yeah, she seems like the prototype of this one that has this streak of individuality, this streak of rebelliousness that the others just don't have.
But that did make me think a little bit of the Matrix, where Neo has that streak of rebelliousness, and the whole
Mm-hmm.
idea that the first iteration was like too perfect, right? And people
Mm,
couldn't accept that. And this,
mm-hmm.
so I was sitting there thinking, is this situation like too perfect? I mean, boring, but
Right.
perfected as in like planned out, which is driving her mad.
Yeah. 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 Yeah, but that's the interesting. It's like that one little spark that is set off by the repetition of the schedule, the repetition of the perfection of everything around her. Like all it takes is that just that 1% difference in the programming to get fed up with that. If she didn't already get fed up with something else, whatever it was going to be, that then sets her down this path to self-discovery, which is just entirely too much for her parents to take.
Because I wonder if the more modern ending of this, instead of the shock soap opera stab cut of her now being the maid giving a massage, would be her just like, jolly and laughing because she basically had her memory wiped of the past week or so.
Oh, interesting. So she just kind of starts over.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I feel like
Yeah,
that's kind of we like cyclical stuff these days, I guess. So
yeah.
we're
It's interesting because Twilight Zone, uh, it, every episode just does so much and sort of takes on so many different ideas. And yes, this one is about the futile search for perfection, which I could talk to you about a Star Trek species that does that too. Um, but there's also something here about conformity and the sort of the sad place of conformity for Jaina, because we're meant to feel some sympathy for her, that she wants to have a life, she wants to get outside and not have to do things exactly as her parents want to do in this gilded cage that she lives in. But then the ultimate fate is like, no, 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 you're stuck to be this exact thing that we have programmed you to be. That's the tragedy of it, because maybe if they just let her go, then she could grow even further beyond her programming. And wouldn't that be a thing to behold?
although she's going to have a weird trip to the hospital.
Well, that is true. That is true. Hey, I bet her father could build some robot doctors at a hospital to take care of her and her robot guts.
That or robot doctors, yeah.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
one of the other regulars on this show, Andrew, pointed out, and I think this is a good episode, where the best Twilight Zones, you just don't see how the characters could continue past the end of the episode.
You're
Which
right.
I
Right.
think this one is
Yeah.
definitely like in that wheelhouse. Like,
Mm-hmm.
well, in the case again, her character's been like wiped away, which we have
Mm-hmm.
another female character whose personality has been wiped by the end of the episode, which and I'm
Yeah.
not like saying he was out for females. I think that was kind of the statement, like,
Right.
because
Oh,
it's
yeah.
not
Yeah.
supposed to make you happy or anything, right?
Right. Right.
So, uh, I guess I'll roll into my regular questions for each episode. The first one, of course, being who in this episode went into the Twilight Zone?
Yeah, that's is it meant to be Jaina that is going into the Twilight Zone, like by discovering that her reality isn't what she thinks it is? I guess that's it. I feel like the Laurens, Dr. and Mrs. Lauren, don't really change at any point in this. They don't, their reality is interrupted, but it doesn't actually change. They're back
Yeah.
to where they started,
Well,
you
again,
know?
as mentioning the Matrix, and they literally are the architects of this particular Twilight Zone.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everything we see in this episode has been curated and designed by them.
Yeah. And everybody else is just a bot. So, yeah, I think the only one is Jaina.
Which brings to the are we going to say that Jaina has that special spark of life or not? If she does, okay, yeah, sure, she went in the Twilight Zone. If not, it's just, malfunctioning. I'm going to guess mechanics in 1960.
Right, right.
Like she's got a
But
Babbage computer in her head, that sort of
yeah.
thing.
But that's what's so interesting about it. Anytime you come across a story like this about, and as we always said on Mission Log, manufactured intelligence rather than artificial intelligence, because um, the intelligence is still there. Like that's the important part of it. It's just not naturally occurring. And far be it from us to say that a manufactured intelligence that is still intelligence is anything less than a naturally occurring intelligence. So, whatever it was, whether she was programmed with these sort of self-reflective, sort of existential thoughts in her head, or a bit of programming allowed her to evolve to that, that's still a pretty remarkable thing. And the question about whether or not she is aware kind of becomes academic at that point, because she's doing all the things that an aware person would do. So I'm much more interested in that than just sort of saying, like, is she alive? Isn't she alive? Well, she's certainly behaving like it.
So did they
So
did they murder her at the end? Basically, then I mean,
yeah,
it's kind of it's kind of
they
a cuckoo's.
lobotomized her. Yeah,
Yeah, it's kind
I
of
was about
a
to say it's
cuckoo ending.
cuckoo's nest. Yeah, yeah, they lobotomized her. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
to
So
make her fulfill the role that they are comfortable with.
yeah.
Yep.
Oh, where you on, boy? You're gonna have to have the same conversation about Tuvix, aren't you?
How dare you?
So anyway, for benefit of the doubt, let's give her her sentience,
Yeah.
and say, does she deserve this blast of awareness that is crushed?
Oh man. You know, I like to think that maybe there is a part of that that stays in the mechanics, and all it takes is the right catalyst the next time around for her to get back to that place, you know?
Or she's trapped inside, and it's even more horrible, right?
Oh my
That
God, you just made it even more tragic.
that back to
Wow.
that back to Cuckoo's Nest. We need
Yeah.
the tall dude to
You
show
need
up
the
with a pillow.
chief.
Yeah.
Oof. Oof.
So,
Wow. That
well,
is tragic.
again, it's like, where does this episode go from here? It's like you can barely imagine, because the situation is, I mean, it's rough in any form for this
Yeah.
robot.
Yeah. Right.
Now the Hoyts of Hoyts, the Hoyts. I just like John Hoyt's name. Okay, the Laurens have been
Yes. Yes.
barely phased by this. It seems
Yeah.
like they don't seem to have an iota of guilt about it. I mean, they're letting her give massages now, or having her
Yeah.
give massages, I should say. So,
Yeah. They're kind of monsters at that point. But you know, I guess they are so steeped in it. They, well, pr- primarily Dr. Hoyt, just created these these machines that might as well be a toaster or a microwave oven. And I know they didn't have microwave ovens back then, but we're getting close. um, so to reprogram it to eradicate the bug from that machine, um, I guess they can live with that. But it's very short-sighted then to not realize that, well wait, but this is maybe a machine that grew beyond its programming. That's
I
the beauty
wonder.
of it.
Obviously, it would be a very different episode, but if this were, instead of her becoming rebellious and learning the truth of the situation, another one could be where they're all relatively happy. She's not being rebellious in this case, but starts malfunctioning, breaking down, and discovering that way that she is
Ooh.
mechanical, or artificial, which
Yeah.
would
Yeah.
put the Laurens in a, they wouldn't be monsters in that case. I mean, maybe they're
Yeah.
not, means they're not the best engineers, but hey, if you're doing cutting edge robotics, you're already, pretty sharp. So,
Yeah. Right.
and
Right.
that would be one that would definitely place the Laurens into the Twilight Zone as like participants. So,
Yeah.
just throwing out. I was just thinking, like, when my daughter was about 3, how she was like directing Roomba and thinking like Roomba was following her directions, and then when Roomba breaks down, right? But I don't think Roomba has broken down. Good for us. But anyway,
Wow, good for you. Yeah. Yeah.
except they use a regular vacuum cleaner. Anyway, but yeah, that was another thought, like one that would be, I guess, a little more sympathetic.
Yeah.
Not that anything's wrong with the way this one runs. It's just it's a bitter pill in the end, isn't it?
Yeah, no, but I mean that's and you have to wonder when developing a story like this one, do is that ever a consideration? Like, well, what if the Laurens have some sympathy? What if it's Jaina that is breaking down, or however you want to get to that point, where they actually have to learn that this is something more than just a collection of machine parts. That could be kind of cool.
And hey, I don't remember every episode. They might do that at some point. I don't remember. So
Well, I'm thinking we talked about, and I'm sorry, the title is escaping my mind right now, but the one where you've got the astronaut serving his time on a planet alone, and they bring him the robot woman, and he develops this friendship relationship with her, and at the end, she gets left behind.
oh, she gets shot in the face first.
Well, yeah, even worse, even worse. Yeah.
That's
Um,
the lonely, by the way.
the lonely. There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. But yeah, like what if that one had been allowed to play out differently, where he's like, no, 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 I have to stay because now I have this person, may not be a naturally occurring person, but I have this being to take care of that fulfills me somehow. Um,
Well, the catch there is, I think I remember that one saying we're not coming back. So if he chose that, he would not get resupplied and would be
right,
dead within 6 months.
right,
So
yeah, yeah.
living in a
Keep raising those
asteroid desert,
stakes. Yeah,
they're going to crash the ship into the asteroid next week.
yeah, right.
The pro whatever. So I didn't even hear about that. And yesterday I was on CNN and it had the live updates. I was like, that's so cool.
Yeah, it was
So
very cool.
so
Yeah,
and it was my breakfast. So I was like eating breakfast while watching a probe crash into an asteroid. It was fun.
that's awesome. That's
Especially the last
awesome.
picture they got, the 2 seconds before hitting. I was like, that was a trippy
Yeah,
picture. I was
yeah.
like, how the rocks stick to that?
There's a lot of detail on that asteroid that was very cool.
Yeah, I was thinking about gravity and Super Mario Galaxy, where you jump from ball to ball and the gravity's all wonky. So
Awesome.
uh on the tripometer, 0 being not trippy, 5 being very trippy, where do you want to place this one?
Um, eh, well, that's kind of the problem with this episode and with other episodes like it. If this is if this had been the first time I'd ever seen this story, or the first time I'd ever seen a story like it, then I think it'd be right up there with like a 9 or a 10, right? But the problem is, it's one of those episodes where you just feel like you're waiting for the twist. And it's sort of like the After Hours. Like the After Hours is a better told version of this kind of thing, where somebody's reality is totally destructed. It turns out they're not human, there's something else, and they've got to deal with that reality. In this case, she doesn't even get to deal with it. She's just turned into essentially a robot massage slave for these twisted old people, you know. Um, so maybe the trippiness drops down to like a 5 or a 6, and that's to say that it is trippy, it is weird, but it doesn't feel as original or quite as dramatic as some of the other versions of this kind of story.
Okay. For consistency, I gotta math that down to 2.5 or 3, but that's fine.
Oh, sorry,
But
sorry,
no, that's
sorry.
fine. I was just
Yeah,
gonna say because I'm gonna go a little
yeah.
higher with
Okay.
I almost wanted to say 4, but maybe because of what you're saying, we've seen it before. I have to go with the nerdy decimal point. Maybe go 3.75.
I
Um,
think that is very fair. 3.75. Yeah,
the
that's good.
reason being, like you said, we've seen a bit of it before.
Mm,
I'll go with the After Hours. It's probably a better version of this.
mm.
Um, especially with all the creepy mannequins.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah.
But the, like I was saying, they're hitting sci-fi concepts that they don't even have the vocabulary to properly discuss in this episode.
Right. Right.
What do they say? Memory tracks.
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
that's so weird.
Yeah,
what do we call it? Engrams, I guess we'd say now, something like that.
probably. Yeah.
Yeah, memory
Some
engrams. That
something
sounds.
trapped in the positronic matrix. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But it's a
Yeah.
memory track. It sounds like the yeah one of our deep south theme parks or something.
Yeah, right.
Proud memory track. I don't know. That'd be cool. But
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. With I'm thinking about the Matrix. I'm thinking about Philip K. Dick stuff. I guess he was writing by this point, but they hadn't started making all of his
Mm,
stuff into movies. So,
right. Right.
well,
Yeah.
yeah, he got kind of the short end of the stick because right after he died is when they made everything he wrote into a movie.
Oh man.
He did get to see a cut of Blade Runner, I heard. So at least
Oh, okay, cool.
I don't know which cut. Maybe he saw the one with the narration, but
Yeah, right.
at least he got to see that. But yeah, yeah, yeah. It's like the '80s is where a lot of these concepts really kick in.
Yeah,
Even Star Trek
for
has a
real.
little trouble with in the late '60s. I mean, is it an
Oh,
android? Is it a
sure.
robot? How's this working? They're not that far past this state of
Sure.
being able to discuss it.
Yeah.
Uh, being future sci-fi, of course, they can like ice break. They got an ice breaking ship in that case, basically, where
Yeah. Yeah.
this one's a little lost in the ether as far as those concepts. But just the fact that they're considering them, I think, is worthwhile. So,
Yeah.
did you have any final thoughts on this episode?
No, I mean, I think we hit them all. I was the first thing that struck me, which we did right at the top, was the stylistic difference. Seeing something shot on videotape in this period is a little jarring, but I feel like they did the best with it that they could. So my hat is off to them for that. And yeah, I agree with you. Like the dealing with an idea or multiple ideas here for which they hadn't even really developed a language for. To handle what they did in 30 minutes is pretty impressive. And again, like in this weird fatalistic tragic way that the Twilight Zone somebody sometimes likes to do, just sort of like, well, we met this very interesting creature and now she's just resigned to her fate being a massage slave to these creepy old people. So the other thing that I thought of when I was watching this is there's a little parallel for me with the movie Wall-E. That was a movie that absolutely tells you, like, look, humanity, given enough technology, will just get fat and lazy, and these people were just totally resigned to that life where it's just like, well, this is what we got. We're just going to stay here in our comfortable home with all of these machines to do our bidding, and that's good enough.
Maybe they all
um
should have been 400 pounds.
maybe. um but it's a double-edged sword because there is something okay about carving out the life that you want. There is something okay about creating comfort for yourself. And I don't think this episode purely condemns that, but it shows this weird, twisted way that that kind of pursuit of personal comfort can also cut you off from the world and cut you off from any sort of sense of discovery or surprise or humanity, you know?
Yeah. Also, one
Um,
person's perfection is not everyone else's. Think of all the snark that Dr. Lauren has. I already threw
yeah,
the restaurants at you. It's like, yeah,
yeah,
that's
right,
exactly what I want. Um,
right, right,
the other two that I was thinking is every room precisely 72 degrees all the time.
right.
Little warm
It's
for me. I think I'd want a
uh,
65 and I'll throw on a shirt.
it's the optimal temperature. Yes. Yeah,
I'd like
yeah,
a little cooler than that myself. So,
yeah, yeah.
um,
But yeah, yeah, no, that's exactly it. Is that well, his version of perfection, great. If 72 degrees is perfect for him and never eating in a restaurant is perfect for him, okay, that is your perfection. You deserve to be able to live your life that way. Um, However, he has now introduced somebody into that world for whom that is not okay. So he's lost the ability to compromise. His compromise is, I'm going to erase your memory track and now make you do what I want you to do. That's twisted authoritarian version of comfort that isn't just getting along with other people.
I do want a chair designed for maximum comfort. That's for sure.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Come on.
This one's no, this one's not there, and I've leaned. It's leaned slightly to the
That
left.
looks pretty good. I mean,
It's
it's all
pretty
right.
good, but it's
Yeah.
getting a little older. There's a work chair, almost like this, the nice cushy computer chair, but
Mhm.
people have come at an angle for years so much when you sit in it, it
Oh,
instantly
it
like lopsides.
kind of
Ah!
leans. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
so
no
I've
good.
almost fallen out of it a few times.
These chairs are good. Oh, yeah, no, I don't have the recline active. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, this thing I
This
just
whole room needs a
leaning in
makeover.
this one.
Yeah. Yeah.
um, well, it actually is Monday, this coming Monday, as far as we're concerned, and as far as people are hearing this. So I guess what's up next week is a good way for you to plug.
Ooh, oh my gosh. So we did Cold Fire. Maneuvers comes out this week. That'll be the current episode, Maneuvers on Mission Log. And then the one after that is something great, I'm sure. Um, no, actually, I do know that the episode we recorded after that, whose name escapes me, we liked
Resistance. I got it for you.
Resistance. We liked very much. Thank you. We liked that very much. And then we should be going into episode 7 of Lower Decks on Mission Log Live, and then sadly on Sci-Fi 5, we will have wrapped up Zardoz Fridays. So you can go back and for the last 4 Fridays of Sci-Fi 5, get our epic telling of Zardoz, the 1974 Sean Connery movie.
I keep tentatively scheduling up for the Sci-Fi Sanctuary, and then like chickening out for something else in the end. Um, like I
it's
know it
only
has to be done.
it's only 5 minutes. You got to. You got
Yeah,
to.
I
Yeah.
just I gotta get the full Connery, right.
Oh, you do. You do. There's a lot of him to behold in that movie. Yeah.
I will. Actually, something I've noticed is I get a. I think I like Deep Space Nine better for Star Trek, but I get ahead on the Voyagers. Like I'm like I'll like binge them and then not watch them for a month. It's weird.
Well, they're kind of easy to digest in that way, like because at least I find for Voyager, when we hit a bad episode, it's easy to just kind of forget it and move on. And then when you get a good one, it's like a nice, pleasant surprise. But they are so episodic that they just kind of work well that way. But of course, DS9's strength is its longer storytelling and really developing those characters over time. So,
I
yeah,
guess that's like if I got ahead on that and listened to your podcast, I'm like, oh, I don't
yeah,
know what's happening anymore. With Voyager, not a problem.
right,
Uh,
yeah,
as far as this podcast, it's Time Enough Pod on Twitter and Facebook. You can throw us a dime at Patreon. Keep the lights on where we are. Podcastiest. We talk about those aforementioned sci-fi films. There's some stuff for the gamer with Luke Loves Pokemon and Monster Mash, where they talk about Monster Hunter, and the Game Show, which is usually four British guys screaming insults at each other.
sign me up.
Yeah. I was on.
Yes.
I could probably arrange that. I quiz mastered an episode, and he was like apologizing to me after. I'm like, dude, I listened to your show. I know what happens there.
Nice, nice.
But okay, yep. I just did my thing there. That's cool. I'm gonna. I don't know. I don't have a good snarky ending for this. I guess I'm gonna replace your personality. I don't know.
Look,
Go to a
we will
restaurant.
erase your memory tracks, and don't worry, you won't even remember. Yeah,
Now I'm gonna go to a restaurant. That's what I'm gonna do.
do it, do it. Get some good greasy food on a dirty plate. That's what I'm gonna do tonight.
Okay, sorry. You do count offs. I just like don't talk for 5 seconds and spot it in the audio
I
file.
love it. I love it. It's
Works for
great,
me.
man.
But
Yeah,
these are such easy edits. I find the gaps, erase, remember if
yeah.
anyone said a dirty word, and good to go.
There you go. There you go.
um, thanks for joining in. The next one you asked for, I do need to ask you about because that's
Yeah.
Dust, which
Mhm.
is also a videotape one, by the way. But
Nice.
it is I try not to bug people at I don't real life no more than once a month, but I would have to bug you for this one before Halloween because it has a
Okay.
Halloween air date. So just
Well, honestly, you know what? Sooner might be better than later because Norm is still out of town, so we don't have a recording set up until Friday the 7th. So I could do this time next week.
Okay, hold on. Let me just grab my iPad and double check
Okay.
that I haven't scheduled one there.
Okay.
Hold on one moment. I know I
Hmm.
scheduled one of my occult Disney ones for next week, but I don't
Oh,
remember which
cool.
one.
Cool.
That's where I talked to a comic book conspiracy theorist about the not like the Illuminati's out to get you, just like what
Yeah.
magical symbolism is there, that
Oh,
sort of
yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
We did Pinocchio and never brought up Epstein's Island, so that's good. But the guy actually did used to work at Hollywood Studios as a art director. So
Oh,
he
cool.
said he designed when you come out of Spaceship Earth, and I guess it's not Siemens anymore, but
Hmm.
like he said he was in charge
AT&T
of,
now.
yeah, he was in charge of designing some of that.
Oh,
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, yeah, yeah. This time next week I have Peter Pan, but any other day is fine. I don't
Okay.
know. Is the following
Uh,
day okay?
how about Wednesday's not good, but Thursday is good.
That should be fine then. Yes.
Okay.
So I'll go ahead and program that in once we get off the
Excellent.
Zoom then, and put that in for you. Because
All right. Let's see here. Dust. I'm just going to go ahead and get it in the recording room schedule here while we're talking. Uh, sweet. Oh, wait, not 4:30 a.m. 4:30 p.m. There we go.
I've done a 6 a.m. podcast.
Oof. Ooh.
Sometimes when we have UK guests, we have. So last week we talked
Uh,
about Freddy versus Jason at 6 a.m. So,
oh my God.
well, the fun is
Wow.
when I listen to the episode later, I'll not remember anything I said. So
Oh,
it's like
wow.
new to me. But yeah, yeah, with the UK guests, we have to, the Japan UK time just gets it wonky.
Jeez.
Um, this might, I don't know if you know this or not, but do you know when daylight savings time ends? I don't.
Oh,
I'm
it
sure it's not
should.
next week, but
No, no, no. It should be the last weekend in October.
oh, that actually is Halloween then. Well, okay, that's good because
Yeah.
Japan doesn't do that, which actually I like. I like that we don't shift time twice a
Oh God,
year.
I wish we didn't. It sucks. It sucks so much. Um, oh, okay. Ow. Okay. Actually, this year it's a little later, so it's November 6th.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, for the Sci-Fi Sanctuary, most of the UK guests are in the winter because that means it's 7 a.m. instead of 6 a.m., which is
Okay,
I'm
okay.
usually up by 7 anyway. So having to
Yeah,
talk to people is one thing, but
yeah, yeah.
that's why I only sometimes do the after dark with you guys, because sometimes I just have a podcast, and other times I'm like, I just woke up and I can't handle like 15 people.
Right. I know how you feel.
not
Yeah,
not not at 8 in the morning.
yeah,
So
exactly.
I'll pop in sometimes, but yeah, I got to be a little genki, I guess, for that. So
Sure, sure. All right,
genki,
man. Cool. Janky?
genki
Genki?
just means, and it's Japanese word for energetic, and I've realized I just use it normally in English now.
It's a good word. I'm
But
going to
it's good.
start using it.
We don't have a specific one for it. Just think of an excitable little kid, and you have to
Mm-hmm.
explain it. In Japan,
Mm-hmm.
you say genki. That's people say genki desu ka, are you, or how are you? That's
Oh, cool. Cool.
okay. Like I said, this actually will be going up on Monday, so very
Fabulous, man.
short wait
Drop it in the
time.
Discord. Happy to share it. Yeah.
Okay, groovy.
Love it,
I'll
man.
chat with you next week then.
All right. Talk to you then.
Okay, bye bye.
Have a good evening. Bye.
Yeah, yes.